Now that Tyrion finally has his magical flaming blade, he is definitely a really nice pick against the Wood Elves. I mean, to be honest, he was for a lot of reasons even before, but now definitely with that mastery and flaming magic damage. Yes, martial mastery giving him massive stats, of course, as always, but yeah, definitely punch. And that magic damage in particular is very helpful. Of course, fire is specifically against certain Wood Elf units, but almost all Wood Elf units have some kind of physical resistance, so even just that regular magic damage gives quite a bit of benefit. We've got Ariel and Orion here, spread on different sides of the map in Vanguard with some Glade Rider spears. We've got some Dryads up front, second line of Deepwood Scouts, looks like some Eternal Guards in the back, Wild Hunters of Kurnos, and some Wild Riders, or some Glade Riders rather. More of them. As for the High Elves here, from Michael here, we've got Lothran Seaguard with shields, 4 of them. Yeah, Tyrion and those Fireborn way out in the distance are going to start moving their way up. We've also got some chariots hidden here in the woods, Lion chariots and the Noble. Looking for a pretty strong anti-infantry squad, so initially it's going to be a little bit of shenanigans, of course. The Wood Elves can't really see these units until they emerge from the woods, but even still, they're far enough away that the right thing to do is definitely just to run the Dryads in here and start doing some damage. Of course, those Lothran Seaguard will definitely lose to Dryads in melee long term, especially on their own. But let's see how they can hold up initially while waiting for reinforcements to arrive. You see a little hammer and anvil potentially here with the knights, Fireborn chariots and whatnot. But Dryads initially going to get in here and do some really nice damage to the Sea Guards. For these chariots and cavalry can show up. You can see here the Sea Guards. Yeah, definitely getting some nice burst damage, especially as the Dryads charge in on that initial push. But here come the chariots. Those Lion chariots get a nice side charge in here, shutting down one unit almost immediately, and then overrunning now. Looks like they're going to be going into that second line right as the Fireborn move in as well, charging in, just delivering a devastating 1-2 punch to that Dryad in particular, and bailing out at least some of the Lothran Seaguard. But, yeah, kind of interesting hammer and anvil with these ranged spearmen. But, let's see. The Deepwood Scouts definitely pouring in some damage as well. Looks like one of them is actually a Glaive Guard. But, yeah, definitely some very good DPS. The Lothran Seaguard's shield's going to be helping somewhat, as will the missile resistance of, say, like these Lion chariots and so forth, but so far, so good. The Glade Riders being dealt with, no problem. A little bit of heals, trying to sustain some of these Lothran Seaguard. Did not actually hit those chariots, but that's okay. I didn't really need a ton of healing anyway. But yeah, a lot of the Dryads very quickly being dealt with by the elite shock cavalry and chariots. The High Elves here. Wood Elves going to sacrifice these Glade Riders in a absolutely just, I mean, I don't know, don't even know what word to use, to be honest. It's a suicidal charge. But yeah, a little bit of Hounds of Orion here trying to respond against those Fireborn. At least the Glade Riders will hold out for a few seconds. You see a duel between Tyrion and Orion starting to take place here. Now Orion's anti-large, and I believe he just has more HP overall, does give him pretty good leg up in this fight. Of course, Tyrion has massively better attack defense stats, especially with a Feint and Riposte, stand your ground active. We see a little Sunfang there as he tries to damage the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, so it charged in against Fireborn there. Wild Hunters of Kurnos definitely are good unit to try and counter the Fireborn if they can, especially if they're getting support. And now here, with the Glade Riders charging in, Dryads also piling in here, the Fireborn definitely starting to get significantly outnumbered. That said, Tyrion's definitely putting some hurt on Orion. I mean, definitely with Feint and Riposte active. Like I said, his attack defense, that's just way better. Less weapon strength, though, and that definitely includes the anti-large bonus. Yeah. 620 weapon damage, essentially, versus Tyrion, which is huge. You can see those massive chunks being eaten out of his HP there. As, let's see, a little bit of a heal. Try and stave off the Heart of Avalorn completely, but, yeah, the rest of the Wood Elves and the High Elves here clashing. Ariel doing some nice damage, throwing some Soul Stealers on this Chariot blob here. And, yeah, with the Fireborn off the field, Tyrion's all alone against Orion, which, you know, he's doing a massive amount of damage, but still, just, yeah, about 2,000 HP apiece right there. And all the supporting units continuing to get damage, especially these Wild Hunters of Kurnos. Nice little rear charge here on Tyrion. That is going to lead to him getting terrified. Heart of Avalorn does proc there, and he gets a massive burst of healing, likely to come back from rout. But we'll see perhaps some of these other units can get in and help. The chariots were doing okay, staying mobile and getting some good DPS in, but now caught up on these Eternal Guards with the Blade Riders. Not ideal. But the one unit does get terrified away by Ariel there. Is trying to get bailed out. Looks like they are going to come back briefly and start to charge up where Tyrion is. He's got Stand Your Ground active for 96 melee defense. Orion's going to, rather than just directly charging Tyrion here, looks like he's maybe going to peel. Oh, get a little bit of that berry wine from, from Ariel. That is going to be an absolutely massive heal. And will significantly stabilize. You can see as that heal goes, the balance of power is going to tilt more and more in the Wood Elves' favor. As another Soul Stealer here is going to devastate the Chariot. Blob hits that healer pretty hard as well. Even the Noble also taking some damage. But, yeah. Tyrion staying alive at least. Feint and Riposte active. Let's see if you can maybe get a few more hits on Orion. Orion is actually getting pretty close to his healing cap. Some of the Chariots actually peel out and are able to still continue working down some of this infantry. Definitely chase some of these routing units here a little bit. This one is from the new patch, I believe, so shouldn't be any desyncing, but you never know with these things. The Tyrion getting some good cycle charging in here is going to get another spate of attacks. Orion going to throw down another Hounds of Orion or Talon, Fox Talon perhaps. Yeah, a little bombardment there. It's going to do a little bit to the Lion Chariots. Orion's attacks certainly do much more, but Wild Hunters also get another supporting charge in there. Tyrion getting body blocked by his chariot, terror routes, and that's going to be army losses. So big thanks to Michael for sending that one in. It's definitely a fun one. Wild build for sure. You know, I don't totally hate it, to be honest, but I think just positioning-wise, I think the Fireborn are a little bit too far away initially. Yeah, although Lothar and Seaguard pretty much all paid for themselves. I like the pick of the chariots, too. I think the Noble is maybe a little bit of overkill here on the chariots. He really didn't do enough to pay for himself, and in terms of single entity fights, he's really not what you would want. Yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit. Trade the Noble out for something else, probably, and just help, maybe even like put him on horseback, have him run around with Tyrion to act as a little bit of anti-large melee support. Yeah, I mean, I think the two Lion Chariots are probably enough anti-infantry that you don't necessarily need the Noble, but it's definitely interesting. I mean, that's, I would say, the one kind of low point of this build. Mostly everything does a pretty good job. Tyrion, definitely with that flaming magic damage. Solid pick here, but yeah, the Wood Elves here, of course, Orion and Ariel, like 5,000 value between the two of them. Absolutely massive. One Eternal Guard also gets some really nice value, kind of slapping down those chariots. The Wild Hunters of Kurnos are a hard carry here as well. Everything else just kind of gets a little bit killed here in service to those units. I guess one Dryad does pay for itself as well, which is nice to see. But yeah, definitely the power units here for this Wood Elves build were able to carry the day. So fun one for sure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.